My in-laws always said my husband was the most decent man alive, but I walked into the kitchen one evening and found him with my sister-in-law in a situation I could never have imagined. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. because sleep doesn't come anymore, not since I walked into my kitchen 6 months ago and found my husband Mark with my sister-in-law Rachel in a position that shattered everything I thought I knew about decency, family, and trust. They weren't having. That's what Mark keeps saying, like it matters. Like finding your husband of 12 years pressing your brother's wife against the kitchen counter, his hand tangled in her hair, their faces so close they were sharing breath, somehow doesn't count because clothes were still on. The wine glasses behind them were still full. They'd barely started whatever this was, but they'd started it in my kitchen, during my daughter's 10th birthday party, while 30 people celebrated in the backyard. My mother-in-law's voice echoed from the patio as I stood frozen in the doorway. She was telling someone, probably for the 100th time that day, how Mark was the most decent man who ever lived. How he'd never a soul. How I was the luckiest woman alive to have him. The timing was so perfect it felt scripted, like the universe wanted to maximize the cruelty of the moment. Rachel saw me first. The way her face changed, from flushed desire to white horror, told me this wasn't the first time. You don't look that guilty over a first kiss. You look that guilty when you've been caught in something that's been building, something with history, something with plans. Mark turned slowly, like he already knew what he'd see. His hand was still in her hair. He didn't even have the decency to let go quickly. "It's not what it looks like," came out of his mouth, and I actually laughed. Not a normal laugh. The kind that sounds like breaking glass. Because what else could it be? They were practically breathing each other's air, her lipstick smeared across his jaw, his wedding ring catching the light as his fingers loosened from her hair strand by strand. Rachel ran. Just pushed past me and ran, leaving me with Mark in our kitchen, the kitchen where we taught our daughters to make cookies, where he proposed to me 13 years ago by hiding the ring in a coffee mug. The kitchen that now felt like a crime scene. "How long?" I asked, surprised by how steady my voice was. "It doesn't matter," he said, which told me everything. My brother's wife? My brother's wife, Mark. He started crying then, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of someone who'd been caught, who was watching their carefully constructed life collapse. He kept saying he was sorry, but he was looking past me, probably calculating whether anyone at the party had noticed Rachel running out, whether this could still be contained. I walked back outside to my daughter's party. I smiled. I served cake. I thanked people for coming. I watched my brother joke with other guests, oblivious to the fact that his marriage and mine had just detonated in my kitchen. Mark came out 10 minutes later, his face washed, his shirt straightened. He played the perfect father and husband for 2 more hours. We both did. For the kids, we told ourselves. But really, we were just buying time before the blast hit. My mother-in-law hugged me goodbye that night, told me again how lucky I was. "Mark's just like his father," she said. "Steady as a rock. You'll never have to worry about him straying." I hugged her back and wondered if she'd still think that when she found out her decent son had been meeting my sister-in-law at hotels during lunch breaks for 8 months. Yes, 8 months. That detail came out later, along with so many others I wish I could unknow. The text messages were the worst part. Not the ones, though those made me. It was the casual cruelty of their everyday conversation. Complaints about family dinners they had to suffer through. Inside jokes about my brother's snoring. Rachel calling me insufferable because I'd asked her to help with party planning. Mark agreeing, adding that I'd let myself go after our second daughter was born. They'd rated our Thanksgiving dinner conversations on a scale of boring to excruciating. They'd discuss when to leave their marriages, after the holidays, after Rachel's son's graduation, after. Always after something, as if destroying 2 families required proper scheduling. Our daughters, 10 and 7, knew something was wrong immediately. Kids always do. They started acting out at school, stopped eating properly, began sleeping in each other's beds because the house felt too big and too quiet even when we were all home. My younger daughter asked me if Daddy still loved us, and I said yes because what else could I say? That Daddy loved Aunt Rachel more? That Daddy had been practicing leaving us for months? The morning after I confronted Mark, he moved into the guest room. We agreed to wait until after the holidays to tell the kids, to figure out next steps. That lasted exactly 3 days before my brother called. David's voice was unrecognizable. Rachel had confessed everything, apparently. Not out of guilt, but because Mark had texted her that I knew, and she decided to control the narrative. She told my brother she was in love with Mark, had been for years, that their marriage had been dead long before anything physical happened. She actually used the word soulmates while destroying my brother's life. He was sobbing on the phone, asking me how long I'd known, if I'd been covering for them. The betrayal in his voice when he realized I'd just found out, that we were both the last to know, was almost worse than finding them together. Our kids are cousins, he kept saying. Our kids are cousins, and they did this. The family explosion was immediate and nuclear. My parents, who'd hosted every holiday for 30 years, suddenly had to choose sides that shouldn't exist. My mother aged 5 years in a week. My father stopped speaking entirely for days. They'd loved Mark like a son. They'd helped raise Rachel's kids when she went back to school. Now they had 2 destroyed children and 4 traumatized grandchildren, and no way to fix any of it. Mark's family was worse. His mother refused to believe it at first, accused me of making it up, of trying to destroy her son's reputation over some misunderstanding. When Mark finally admitted it to her, she pivoted to blaming me. I must have driven him to it. I must have been cold, neglectful, something. The most decent man alive doesn't just fall into an 8-month affair without reason. She actually said that to my face at what would be our last family dinner. His sister took my side, which split their family down the middle. His brother said nothing but stopped inviting us to anything. Cousins unfriended us on social media. The family text chain went silent. 30 years of relationships, gone overnight. But the kids' pain was the worst. My older daughter, Sophie, figured it out before we told them. She'd overheard enough hushed phone calls, seen enough tears despite our best efforts. She confronted me one night while I was pretending to read in bed. "Dad's leaving because of Aunt Rachel, isn't he?" I couldn't lie to her. She was too smart, too observant. She'd been at that birthday party. She'd seen Rachel run out. She'd noticed how quiet the house had become, how Dad hugged them longer now, like he was saying goodbye in installments. "It's complicated, sweetheart." "No, it's not," she said, and the exhaustion in her 10-year-old voice broke me. "He chose her over us. That's not complicated." She stopped calling him Dad after that. Just Mark when she had to reference him at all. The therapy bill started immediately, but you can't therapy away that kind of betrayal. You can't convince a child to unfeel abandonment. My younger daughter, Emma, regressed. Bedwetting, baby talk, clinging to me like she did when she was 3. She drew pictures of our family where Mark's face was scribbled out. Her teacher called, concerned about the violent imagery in her artwork. Houses on fire. Families separated by black lines. Once, she drew Rachel as a monster eating our house. The school counselor recommended immediate intervention. The divorce was brutal. Mark fought for everything, as if destroying our marriage wasn't enough. He wanted the house, citing stability for the kids he'd destabilized. He wanted 50-50 custody, though he'd never done 50% of the parenting. He wanted to pay minimal support because Rachel made good money, as if they were already a financial unit. His lawyer, a shark his mother hired, portrayed me as vindictive, unstable, using the children as weapons. They used my depression diagnosis from after Emma's birth against me. They used the fact that I'd taken time off work to raise our kids as evidence I couldn't support them. Meanwhile, Mark and Rachel went public immediately. No shame, no waiting period, no respect for the wreckage. They showed up at school events together. Rachel would stand with Mark at Sophie's soccer games while my brother sat alone on the opposite bleacher. The other parents didn't know where to look. Some stopped talking to all of us entirely, like divorce was contagious. The gossip was vicious. Small town plus scandal equals entertainment for everyone not living it. I heard whispers at grocery stores, caught looks at the gym. Someone started a rumor that I'd known all along, that we were swingers gone wrong. Another story claimed Mark and I had been separated for years, that this was all orchestrated. The truth was apparently too boring. A man got bored, a woman was available, and 2 families paid the price. Facebook became a battlefield. Rachel posted inspirational quotes about following your heart and true love finding a way. Mark shared articles about marriages and starting fresh. Their friends, who didn't know the full story, liked and commented with hearts and congratulations. My brother posted nothing but changed his profile picture to one without Rachel, and everyone knew why. The extended family fractured along digital lines, unfriending, blocking, choosing sides in a war nobody won. It's been 6 months now. The divorce is final. Mark married Rachel 2 weeks after it was official, a courthouse wedding that was supposedly low-key but still made it to Instagram courtesy of Rachel's sister, who captioned it "True Love Wins." My daughter Sophie saw it on someone's phone at school. She didn't come out of her room for 2 days. They live in a new house 3 miles away. Close enough that the kids have to see them everywhere, far enough that it requires constant driving. The schedule is a nightmare of pickups and drop-offs, each one a fresh wound. Emma cries every Sunday night before Monday transitions. Sophie refuses to pack anymore, keeping duplicate everything at both houses so she doesn't have to carry bags back and forth like luggage. My brother David moved back in with our parents. He's 43 years old, sleeping in his childhood bedroom, trying to figure out how to parent his two sons who blame him for not being enough to keep their mother. His older boy, Tyler, started getting into fights at school. The younger one, Mason, stopped talking almost entirely. Family therapy 3 times a week, individual therapy for everyone, support groups for the adults. We're keeping an entire mental health practice in business. The holidays were a special kind of. Thanksgiving had to be split, timed, negotiated like a hostage exchange. Mark wanted the girls for dinner. I wanted them for breakfast. We settled on noon switch-off, which meant nobody enjoyed anything. Sophie refused to eat at Mark's house. Emma up from anxiety. The cousins, who used to be best friends, can't be in the same room anymore. Tyler told Sophie that her dad ruined everything. Sophie told Tyler that his mom was a homewrecker. Both were right. Both were devastated. Christmas was worse. Duplicate presents, competing celebrations, the kids exhausted from pretending to be okay at both houses. Rachel had the audacity to buy my daughter's bonus mom ornaments. Sophie hers in the trash in front of everyone. Emma kept hers but hid it under her bed, confused about whether loving it meant betraying me. She asked me if it was okay to like Aunt Rachel still, and I had to lie and say yes while my insides burned. Mark's mother still insists this will all over, that the kids will adjust, that modern families are complicated but love conquers all. She sends me articles about successful blended families, about forgiveness being divine. She doesn't understand that some things can't be blended, some things can't be forgiven. She doesn't see Sophie's rage or Emma's anxiety or my brother's hollow eyes or the way family gatherings now require military-level strategic planning to keep everyone separated. The financial aftermath is its own disaster. 2 households are more expensive than one, but neither Mark nor I can afford what we had before. I went back to work full-time, which means after-school care, which means less time with the girls when they need me most. Mark complains about child support while taking Rachel to Cabo. The kids notice everything, the smaller Christmas, the we'll see answers to requests, the way I check my bank balance before grocery shopping now. But it's the small losses that most. No more family vacations with my brother's family and ours, 8 people in a beach house making memories. No more cousin sleepovers. No more easy Sunday dinners where the kids played while the adults cooked. No more shared babysitting, shared celebrations, shared life. Every interaction now requires careful choreography to avoid collision. The ripples keep spreading. Friends chose sides or disappeared entirely. Couples who used to invite us to dinner now don't know how to handle the logistics. Do they invite me alone? Mark and Rachel as a couple? Neither? Most choose neither. My social world shrank to other divorced women who understand, who don't judge the wine on a Tuesday or the crying in Target or the way I sometimes sit in my car outside the old house, watching another family live in what used to be mine. Dating is unthinkable. Trust is a foreign concept now. Every man who smiles at me could be someone else's Mark. Every friendship with a married woman feels loaded with suspicion. I watch couples and wonder who's lying, who's sneaking, who's one kitchen encounter away from detonation. My therapist says this will pass. My therapist hasn't found her husband with her sister-in-law. People ask if I saw signs, and that's the part that haunts me most. I didn't. Mark was present, affectionate, normal. We had regularly. We laughed at the same shows. We planned a 20th anniversary trip to Italy. While he was texting Rachel hearts and planning their future, he was also coaching Emma's T-ball team and building Sophie a treehouse and telling me he loved me every night before bed. The deceit was so complete, so seamless, that I question every memory now. Was any of it real? Was all of it performance? The girls are in therapy indefinitely. Sophie's anger has calcified into something harder, more permanent. She's 11 now, and she trusts no one. She told her therapist she'll never get married because everyone cheats. Emma, at 8, still asks when daddy's coming home, not understanding that this is home now, this broken half-life where everyone pretends to be okay for everyone else. She draws pictures of 5 people still, me, Mark, Sophie, herself, and Rachel with X's over her face. My brother and I trauma bond in the worst way. We compare notes on our ex's Instagram posts, analyze their happiness for cracks, hope for karma that never comes. They seem genuinely happy, which is its own special. All that destruction for something that might actually last. All those lives ruined for their love story. Last week, I ran into Mark's mother at the pharmacy. She was buying diabetes medication, looking older, smaller. She tried to hug me, and I let her, because she lost something too. He was such a good boy, she whispered into my hair. Past tense. Even she knows that version of him is gone, if it ever existed at all. The truth is, there's no recovery from this kind of betrayal, just adjustment. You learn to live with the phantom pain of the life you lost, the family gatherings that will never happen, the inside jokes that died with the marriage, the future you'd planned that belonged to someone else now. You watch your children struggle and know you can't fix it, can only minimize damage that's already done. You pretend to be stronger than you are because the alternative is complete collapse, and you can't afford that luxury. Mark told me, during one of our last conversations before lawyers took over, that he never meant for it to happen. That Rachel understood him in ways I never did. That they fought it for so long before giving in. As if their weakness was somehow noble. As if destroying 2 families was an accident that happened to them rather than a choice they made every day for 8 months. As if the most decent man alive was the victim in his own betrayal. Sometimes Sophie asks me if I hate her father. I tell her no, that feelings are complicated, that you can love someone and be by them at the same time. But the truth is, I don't feel anything for Mark anymore. He's a stranger who wears the face of someone I used to know, someone I trusted with everything, someone who lit our life on fire and walked away with a woman who was supposed to be family. The most decent man alive. That's what they called him. Now he's just another cliché, another midlife crisis, another man who will weigh his family for something new. And Rachel's just another woman who didn't care about the collateral damage as long as she got what she wanted. Together, they're a testament to how the most decent people can do the most indecent things and still sleep at night. I don't know how this ends. If the kids will ever truly recover. If my brother will ever trust again. If family will ever mean what it used to mean. I know that Sophie hasn't called Mark Dad in 6 months. I know Emma still cries for a family that doesn't exist. I know that some betrayals are so complete they change your DNA, leave you a different species than you were before. The most decent man alive turned out to be just another liar in love with someone else's wife. And I turned out to be just another woman who believed the lie until the truth was pressed against my kitchen counter, breathing into another woman's mouth, destroying everything with a single kiss that wasn't even the first. People ask if I'm okay, and I say yes because what else is there to say? That I'm a ghost haunting my own life? That my children are casualties of their father's selfishness? That family means nothing when desire walks into the room? I'm surviving. We all are. But survival isn't living, and what we had isn't coming back. The most decent man alive made sure of that when he chose my sister-in-law over every decent thing he was supposed to be. The saddest part? Sometimes, late at night, I catch myself missing the lie more than mourning the truth.